The AM radio is a viable and modern source for news and entertainment.
Totally.
I used to be number one in this town, but people don't listen to AM like they used to. Seems like it's more about FM and color TV.
That's stupid.
It sure is, Kevin. In fact, I've got a tattoo here that fully illustrates my point. It's of this rebellious young man, and he's urinating on an FM radio.
TBTM.
That's your question?
Well, possibly. The hell am I doing here? Is that the question? What was the question, sir?
Get out. Are you gonna get out there on? You gonna get out there? For what? Like just yeah.
It's quite pungent.
Oh, yeah.
It's a formidable scent. It stings the nostrils. In a good way.
Where am I?
The pit of despair. Don't even think. Don't even think about trying to escape.
Things are going to start happening to me now.
Well, all right. Hello, good morning, and welcome everyone to a Friday edition of TBTL, the show that just might be too beautiful to live.
You want showmanship? You got it.
My name is Luke Burbank. I am your host.
I hate podcasting. It's just ruined my life.
My name is Luke Burbank. I'm your host. I think I just said that. It's all right. We're fine. It's the end of the week. We're running out of gas. Sometimes maybe we need a reminder that I'm your host, Luke Burbank, coming to you from the Madrona Hill studio, perched high above the mighty Columbia, where it's a sort of a kind of a gray, cloud foggy day.
Cloud fog.
I also realized something. You know what happened there? The reason I got off to such a repetitive start was because as I was activating the first 3 audio drops of the show, I realized that what I'm playing here are, in a way, sort of my Mount Rushmore, my holy trinity of broadcasters that I tend to listen to, look up to, enjoy. It starts with Conan O'Brien.
You want showmanship? You got it.
It rolls into Howie Stern.
I hate podcasting. It's just ruined my life.
And then we get a little dollop of one Stephen Colbert.
Cloud fog.
That's like honestly, that's like if we were playing 3-card poker, I would call that a straight flush. Right? And that happened completely organically, completely accidentally, but there we are. And as I was thinking about that, in my mind, I forgot that I'd already said, my name is Luke Burbank, I'm your host. So that's a little view into my world, into what's going on here mentally for me as we've made it to episode 4728 in a collector series.
Let the fun begin.
A guy named Joe Settlemeyer has passed away in Chicago. You might not know the name, but you know his advertising work.
The ad wizards who came up with this one.
We'll tell you the iconic TV ads, particularly, now there's the ad that he's most well known for, but then there's the ones that if you grew up in Seattle in the era that I did are absolutely still burned in my brain. Also, this Friday we want to basically offer a hearty celebration, and we want to say Happy Vetter Cup Day to all who celebrate. Yes, it's that most special time of the year that also just came like 3 weeks ago, where Seattle's playing their natural rivals, the San Diego Padres. And that'll be happening this weekend, starting tonight. And there's no way of getting around it. It will be discussed on the show, probably by this guy, longest-running Cobra of the show, maybe best known for his depictions of the tall ships.
Hey there, Fireball.
He's Andrew Walsh, and he's joining me right now. Good morning, my friend.
Good morning. It was also my fault that you were a little out of sorts at the beginning of the show. I'm sorry for the audio hiccup there. It didn't even sound as bad on your end as it probably did to the audience. There's a little something I've never told you about my audio board, Luke, and I'm willing to open up about it today.
Mm-hmm.
When I record the show with you, picture, to the listeners, picture your kind of classic little radio-style audio board with sliders that go up and down, and when the slider is up, it's louder. When the slider is down, it's quieter. When Luke starts talking, I take the slider that has the music playing on it, this one here, and I slide it up and down. I slide it down under your voice. But when I am recording my weekly podcast with Genevieve,
yes,
for reasons we don't have to get into, the purpose of those two pots are reversed. Those sliders are reversed. Yes. And so on those days, on those Tuesday evenings when we record, I got to remember to switch up my routine. But something must have happened today where my wires got crossed and I started fading your voice down while the music remained very loud at the beginning, and you probably picked up on some of that, and that probably got in your head a little bit, and my apologies to you and to the listener.
I picked up on the music not going quiet
as it quickly
but
as
I
it should
didn't
have.
know
Yeah.
that you were also trying to silence me. Because
I was trying to silence you. Yes.
This talk is simply too hot, and you were not ready for it, and you were like, let me turn Luke down a little bit.
Things had finally cooled down from yesterday's show and all of the hot talk that you were spitting, and then I was like, I'm not ready for this, so I did try to silence you. And as the listeners may or may not know, and I'm assuming they don't, I don't know if this bit of tedium has come up on the show before. I feel like it must have at some point. But also there's a setting on my board, a little button. It's called pre-fade, post-fade. We don't have to get into why it's called that or exactly what it does. Don't know that.
Generally unaware of that.
Well, we actually spent about a week on the show talking about how a new audio board for me did not end up working because of a pre-fade, post-fade
I do remember that, actually.
Yes,
so, yeah, you know what?
You know what?
I might know.
Give me less credit, Luke, is what I'm saying. If you possibly can, give me less credit. Yes, we do talk about these things, but sometimes Bingo, the cat, gets up on my audio board and steps on that thing, and so everything will sound normal to me at the beginning
getting
of the
a new
show.
cat who doesn't step on your pre-fade, post-fade.
You watch your tongue. I'm very defensive of him these days. He's not getting the attention he used to get, Luke, and he's such a sweet boy, and I try to remind him as much as possible that he is my favorite sweet little boy, but I do have to keep him in the basement a little bit more than we used to because sometimes Lucy gets a little bit rambunctious. But anyway, Bingo will sometimes step on my board and hit this button, and we don't even know until we are a minute into the show, you start talking, you're ready to do your intro, and then the music on your end just sounds like it never fades down, and you're like yelling over the music, and then you have to stop. You have to say, Andrew, I think the board is doing that thing again. Then I have to apologize and we start over. So I imagine that lives in your head a little bit every time we start the show. Like when I start talking, is that music going to go away? Or at least slide underneath me a little bit. And if it doesn't, how far do I go before I have to stop Andrew, right? There must be a little bit of that, like hesitation every single show, and that's totally on me.
Well, you're doing a lot over there. You know what I mean? Like, I'm reminded of this when we get together to do the show in person there's a lot of audio kind of elements that you're controlling of playing this from over there and then, dialing this up and turning me down and stuff. So first of all, thank you for your service. And it's a lot.
I should be able to board the plane first, but whatever.
That is where I draw the line because, I put in a lot of miles. Oh, man. I had a regrettable moment the other day.
Oh, no.
No, it's not that. It was kind of regrettable. I wish
I had a song for a big entitlement. Is that
do you have any big weekend plans? Hey, Andrew, do you have any big weekend plans? I've got some.
I do have some plans that I'll tell you about, but first, my first big weekend plan is to hear the rest of this story about something you did.
Yeah, my big weekend plan is to feel a little less than great about it. It didn't go to 11, but next week, I'm going to be in Chicago for some of the week. I'm going to be doing Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me. Becca is actually coming out. It is the final Wait, Wait episode featuring Bill Curtis as the announcer. Kind of a big week for the show. And so we're going to be on Saturday. Becca and I will be flying back from Chicago to Portland after the show and some ceremonies honoring Bill on Friday night. And my ticket was purchased by National Public Radio. Becca's ticket was purchased by My Airline Miles. And because those are two different reservations, we can't really sit together. And it's not that we can't, it's that I'm not able to place us right next to each other because it allows me to choose seats on the plane because I am Luke Burbank, Titanium member, that it will not allow me to choose for Becca because she does not have the same status unless I pay $69 more. In other words, for Becca and I to sit together in coach, the only seats that are available are in like premium class of coach, which means allegedly slightly more leg room. But I can put myself up there, let's say in row 9. I cannot put her next to me in row 9 unless I pay $70 to move her up next to me. And this somehow seems like it's just another example of this society slouching towards Gomorrah. This is the destruction of the nuclear family that you've heard so much about. I cannot put my girlfriend next to me on the airplane. I mean, it's Luke and Becca, not Adam and Steve, okay? Why do I have to pay extra money to have my...
I'm all for your homophobic rant. I'm just having trouble following it. It's really like, I am here for all
I tried to lay it out as clearly as possible. Why do I have to pay extra money? Why do I have to pay extra money to seat my girlfriend next to me on the airplane in coach class when I spend so many hours of my life on these Alaska Airlines branded jets? And this was what was in my mind when I called them and asked, hey, is there a possibility? Wow. Yeah. Did you just slug the mic?
I'm just getting worked up over here, man. It's a good story.
Talk about hot talk.
Yeah, exactly. You got me all hot again.
I'm basically trying to make it so we're sitting together on the airplane. And by the way, not in first class. That's obviously there's a reason why that would cost more.
Yeah.
This is just, and by the way, I would put us together in crummy seats. That is the only place where there was 2 seats was up in what's considered to be premium. So I call the airline and I get the agent and I say, hey, I'm wondering if you could do me a favor. I'm flying, from Chicago to Portland on Saturday, and I'm trying to see if I could have my girlfriend sit near me. It's a middle seat, row 9. Again, we're not talking about fancy town at all. And I said, is there any chance that I might be able to seat her next to me at no charge? I know there's technically a charge, but I fly a lot with you guys. I'm a very loyal customer, and I'm just wondering if you could kind of cut me some sort of a break here. And the person says, no, because the reservations aren't together. You're going to have to pay for that. Now, here's the thing. They've done this for me before. I know that, in fact, it is something that can be done.
They can literally do anything.
Precisely. It is just that there is a policy that is in place, and if you get a person who is a careful follower of the policy, which is absolutely their right as an employee there, then they're not going to cut you. They're not going to cut you any slack. And so I said, "Is there any chance? Could I talk to maybe a supervisor or somebody about this?" And she said, "Sure." And it was actually very cordial. It wasn't one of those can I see your manager?
Yeah, there isn't ice behind your voice.
No,
you really
no,
are smooth. And this is something that I don't know if admire is too strong of a word. But I mean, I can't, when I get into a situation like this, I 100% lack the ability to be just kind of smooth and chummy, because I'm already, even if I know that's the goal going in, I'm already a little bit keyed up, and I'm going to have a little bit of, I'm already ready for the no, and therefore I can't just just smooth people over and kind of get what you want with honey. And I feel like that is your special skill. It's not 100%. It doesn't work 100% of the time, just like that drop we played in the intro, but that is how you find yourself backstage, side stage, on stage, whatever your entire life that I've known you, you're good at working these situations.
And because it is something that is a go-to for me, I'm pretty used to it. I'm pretty comfortable with it. I feel like with you don't ask for a lot of special accommodation. You tend to follow the rules, and you tend to say, here's the ticket I paid for, here's the ticket I didn't pay for. So when you find yourself in the situation, my sense of it is that you're already fairly activated at the beginning of the conversation, because you just don't go into things going well, what's the most I can, how can I weasel my way through this situation? Whereas unfortunately or fortunately, that is my default setting.
I will say, the only time I kind of tried to do this or assume that they might cut me a little bit of a break is when my mom was dying, and I thought there would be a special consideration for
bereavement.
that. Because
I thought that was a thing too.
I mean, she was still alive, and I had a ticket already booked to go see her, but then we realized things are moving faster than we thought I needed to, and so it was one of those things where within an hour or two of I think it was a Saturday, I was like, oh, I got to get there like tomorrow, right? And so I called Alaska, and just knowing that they have a good reputation, and again, it's one of the brands I'm very loyal to, and I just thought like they're going to understand that like, hey, like things are changing. And, I didn't go into elaborate detail, but I just said, hey, my mom is passing away and things are moving faster. I need to get on an earlier flight. And the woman was very nice to me and very perfunctory, but basically said, yeah, and there's like a $150 charge for that. And I'm like, yeah, but like, is there any way we can work around that? And she said no. And I didn't get icy with her.
Boy, if there was a time.
But when she basically just said, no, yeah, we can't do that, I offered no extra syllables for the rest of that conversation. I was just like, fine. I didn't fight it. I didn't ask.
I would have offered a lot of extra syllables.
I was just like, I just like kind of shut. That's what I do. I just kind of shut off, and I'm just like, fine. And again, it's $150. I'm in a position where I can, or whatever it was, and I'm in a position where I can take that. And I had other, I had other issues on my mind, so I'm not going to like kind of let that be the story of the day. But come on, man. I guess the other come on, man would be. Yeah, everybody who wants to change their flight calls in with a sad sack story and claims that it's life or death, and so maybe that's why they can't accommodate. I don't know.
That's a tough one because, yes, I know that people, believe it or not, that's not a card that I've ever tried to play in terms of like fibbing, because I feel like that would be the worst karma that I could ever, and I'm a person who has a fairly, let's just say, arm's length relationship with the truth, but that's one that I would never ever lie about, because again,
would you say that, Dr. Burbank?
That's Reverend Dr. Burbank Esquire. Put some respect on my pretend names.
Well, to come back to your story, though, I was gonna like kind of kidding on the square say, do you say, hey, this is a television's Luke Burbank? Like you do have some non-fib cards you could try to play, although I don't think that I don't know that they'd really work, and that'd be a little cringe. I assume
you'd be hugely cringe. But so I asked the first person, hey, could I maybe talk to like a supervisor or something? She said, okay, sure. And then anyway, we continued chatting because she still needed some more information from me about Becca's reservation versus my reservation. And then I was on hold for a little while, and I fully expected for the first person that I talked to come back on the line to say, because this is literally how something like this some version of this has played out before, where I called with the same kind of request. The person put me on hold for kind of a long time, and they came back and they said, I put you guys next to each other. Like, it's all fine. Yeah. I was fully expecting that. And instead I got, hi, this is so-and-so. I'm the manager in Boise. Mm-hmm. And I went into my spiel and I said, and I did my whole, kind of like, hey, I'm wondering if you could do me like a huge favor. I know there's technically a service fee for this, but like I spend years of my life. I think I started by just saying, I fly Alaska religiously, and I'm whatever titanium, and I was just wondering if you could kind of do me a favor. And she sort of paused and she goes, well, because the reservation's being separate, she goes, oh, I do see that seat 9E is available. I was like, okay, this is good. I see that seat 9E is available, and for $69, I can put her there, which is like, I guess that's probably the management training, some sort of mental jujitsu, where what you're supposed to present what the frustrated customer, you're supposed to present them with a solution. So she's presenting me with the solution of putting Becca next to me, but with the caveat that I'm going to have to pay the money for it, which was the entire issue that I had called about in the first place. I'm capable of moving her up there for $69 myself. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and the thing here's why I get that. This is why I was already like kind of, as you tell this story, kind of getting my hackles up a little bit about the manager jumping on the line, because you're now losing ground in this, because here's how I see it going down, and I could be totally wrong. This person that you first talked to, you told them the situation. They said, yeah, no, I can't do that for you. I can't just give you a free $70 whatever, what we would charge somebody else. Upgrade. And so what they've done now is they've put you on hold, and they've told their supervisor or whoever the next person is your entire story. This person who's coming on the phone with you the second time already knows your story and is there for one thing: to tell you no. They already know the story. Like the first person who answered the phone, they're like, I don't know, I'm going to see, this is somebody who needs some kind of help, and I don't know what it is now. But I already feel like they've teamed up. You know what I mean? Like the second person knows what your story is, so they're just going to sit there patiently for them to say, yeah, no, I'm not going to accommodate this. And they're already ready for that as they enter the conversation.
I have had it happen, though, that the manager who's supposed to have, and I say this advisedly, the 30,000-foot view of things. And I think sometimes managers in various situations are authorized to sort of like fix the UX, fix the customer experience in a way where I could understand if the first person I talk to is not allowed to just hand out free $69 upgrades willy-nilly, but maybe the manager will go, you know what, I'm here to I'm the CFO of customer delight.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Absolute bullshit terminology where it's kind of like, okay. And in fact, I have heard this because of what a weasel I am. I have heard this so many times in my life, Andrew. I'll go ahead and do this for you this time.
Yeah, right.
And which is a kind of a like, next time you'll have to pay the upgrade, but I'll go ahead and do this for you this time because we appreciate your loyalty.
Okay.
And so that's what I was kind of hoping for. That is not what I got. And when I sort of realized, again, there was something about the way that the manager presented it to me by starting with saying, well, I see that seat 90 is available, and so I can move her up there. And I was thinking, okay, I like where this is going for the cost of $69. Then I just became frustrated. And again, I realized that it was not this supervisor's fault per se. It certainly wasn't the first person's fault. This is what they're now being instructed to do. What is very clearly in my mind happened is at the managerial level, I mean, the C-suite level of this airline, which has been just Mulaney'd, Andrew, and I'm not proud of it. What has happened is, this airline, which lost a significant amount of money last quarter, which I just see like reported in the Seattle Times because of jet fuel cost and because of this, that, and the other. Somebody somewhere said, we've got to rein in cost wherever we can. And that includes giving people free upgrades like this. And so I just said the first thing I said to the person that I was talking to, the supervisor, was I said, what she said, you can do it for $69. I said, I know that. I'm just a little frustrated because I spend, then I said, and this is all being recorded, right? And she goes, with more enthusiasm in her voice than I wanted. It sure is. As if like what she was saying subtly was, I'm actually glad this is being recorded. Like, you think you're glad this is being recorded? Sir, I'm more glad than you that this is, which is a power play, which is like, sir, you are more in the wrong than I am. There is absolutely nothing for me to fear from this being recorded. And I didn't mean, by the way, I didn't mean she was doing her job badly. What I meant was I want this to end up on the desk of whoever the CEO of Alaska Airlines is. I was like, I want this in the record, right? So she sort of was like, you think you want this in the record? I really want this in the record. I'm more glad it's being recorded. And so I said, I absolutely know that this is not your call. This isn't your colleague's call. I know this has nothing to do with you all. It's the policy. But I think it's just a really bad policy because the whole reason, and I said something like, I spend a lot of my time sitting on Alaska Airlines jets and, by the way, in waiting areas for Alaska Airlines flights when they're delayed, when there's no crew, when we miss connections. And this seems to me like a very small benefit of all of that is that I'd be able to have my girlfriend sit next to me and not pay the $69. And then this is the part that I'm not proud of. I said, so I'll just go ahead and pay the fee, I guess. And I'll just have to mention this to my friend, and I named somebody who I know who is fairly high up at the airline. And then I said thank you and hung up. What I'm embarrassed about is I name checked my friend who has nothing to do with any of this. I just wanted to flex. I just wanted to
but
be
you didn't
like,
stick around to find out what the reaction was.
I didn't hang up like angrily. I just said, thanks very much. And then I ended the conversation from my end. But I don't even know what I wanted. I didn't expect them to go, oh, that person. Well, that's a whole other matter, sir. Let's escort you to the front of the line. I guess my hope was that, because what happened was I felt powerless in the face of corporate greed. And this person was not they didn't make they kind of maybe made the decision on a granular level, but they didn't make the larger corporate decision about this thing. But I wanted them, I guess, to, after I hung up, I wanted them to Google the person who I name checked and see where they were on the org chart and be like, huh, yeah, maybe we should have been nicer to that guy because he knows people in high places.
Yeah.
It's a veiled, I don't even know what it was. It was, again, it was an impotent and veiled flex with no real end game in mind for me. It was just me feeling kind of mad and triggered, and I didn't get my way and huffy. But also, again, I was being because we had already established this was being recorded. I was being very careful about how I sounded. I wasn't losing it. I was being nice, but bummed, but also not missing the opportunity to mention that, like, one of my friends is high up in the organization, you know? But it wasn't my finest moment. I wish I wouldn't have said the last part because it didn't do anything.
No.
It didn't get me the upgrade. It didn't, I'm not trying to strike fear in this person's heart. I guess maybe I am. I wasn't like I was going to tell on them to this person. I guess I was just trying to say, like, I'm also an important person in the world.
Yeah.
And you should know that.
I wonder what would have been a more like if in that moment, I'm not saying this is the right instinct, but if in that moment your point was to maybe make that person feel like I've made a mistake here by not giving this guy the $69
and maybe that was in my kind of like the back of my subconscious,
because I think about some of my worst instincts, and not something I've done for a while, but like I do know that sometimes I've had the instinct of being like, well, you're going to regret this because I'm going to live in your head. Like, that's the best thing I can do right now is I can live in your head. Like, somebody cuts me off in traffic, and again, I do not do this anymore, but when I was much more hot-headed and didn't really consider it as much, I'd be like, well, this person who just cut me off, they're gonna spend some time driving wondering if they just cut off the wrong guy. Like, I don't know exactly what that looks like, but, like, this car has been following me for a while now. I'm not enjoying this ride as much. Maybe I should have just waited to let that person zipper merge or whatever. You know what I mean? And again, I'm admitting my literal worst moments and am embarrassed to say it. But so to go back to your situation here, maybe something you were kind of like, oh well, I'm going to tell so and so about this, and it's kind of like, well, they're going to think about that, but they're not. Maybe what I would have done, and again, I don't think you should have done this, but maybe living in the head is just ending the call by making sure you have all of the information about the person you spoke with and not letting them know what you're going to do with that information. Now, I don't mean in a threatening way, but I mean in a professional way. Be like, okay, well, I just for my own records, I need to know
name and badge number.
I just need to know like who, because I'm gonna make some more phone calls, and I just want to know like who I'm talking to. So could you give me your name again?
Yeah.
Like something like that. And again, I'm not saying you should have done that, but I could see that maybe living in. But even that, I don't think it works. They just deal with so many hot-headed people, so many people. I mean, the thing is, airlines are shitty. And so you probably have a job answering phones, talking to people who are angry because airlines who you're forking a lot of money and time over to have almost zero repercussions as to how they treat their customers. And just a reminder, I just looked it up. The CEO, I like to bring this up every time stuff like this comes up, the CEO of Alaska Airlines earned between $8.5 and $9.9 million in 2025. Most of that is in bonuses and stock. The company itself had a net income of $395 million for the 2023-24 financial year. You know, they make it sound like, hey, listen, we are strapped, we are squeezed as an industry. And the thing is, you're not squeezed as an industry because you just, again, have people who don't understand what it would be like to earn less than $7 million in a calendar year.
And as I've always said, they have the airplanes. This is why it's so asymmetric, because we still need to go places, generally speaking, and we don't have airplanes, and they do. So at the end of the day, when there is a dispute between you and the airline, they're in some way always going to win because they have the airplanes and we don't have the airplanes. And it's like, that's a thing. Now, I've gotten around a lot of that by like obsessively traveling on this one airline so that I have achieved some sort of protected person status within the, and in fact, by the way, this has come in handy so many times where it really is kind of like a, you know, like Obi-Wan does when it's these are not the droids you're looking for, where he just moves his hand or whatever. Like, I've had that happen with this airline a number of times, where one time I was trying to check a bag that was slightly too large, and the person at the gate was kind of looking askance at me. And I said this not even in a snippy way, but they said, well, and I said, would it make any difference? Does my status of titanium actually make any difference? And I was really asking. I wasn't being like, would you say that to Tom Petty? Like I was like legit kind of asking, and it was crazy though, because I go, does it matter at all, like my titanium status? And the lady literally said like, oh, you should have told me that. And immediately the whole conversation changed. I have the little pass to the lounge. I've done all this stuff to try to like raise my status with these people so that I have at least a little bit of like negotiating power, and I've gotten used to that. And so when that negotiating power proves to not sort of exist or be helpful in a particular scenario, it throws me for a loop now, because I guess I had forgotten for a while that they have the planes.
Yeah.
Because I'd been able to sort of like flex my status enough to feel almost like we were on equal footing. And I was reminded the other day that no, we're not on equal footing at all. They get to decide what's going on, and I have to like it or lump it, or switch, what airline I use.
So, Luke, I don't know how much you're looking at your screen as we're having this conversation. I think I'm usually
looking
pretty
at
good
you.
with good. Okay, yeah. So I apologize that I've been even worse with eye contact for the past several minutes than I even usually am, and this time though it's with reason. And I think you will find this intriguing, because a mystery, another motor vehicle related mystery just dropped right into my inbox. And I hope it's okay by Genevieve for me to share a text that I received exactly 10 minutes ago at 10:49 from the love of my life, Genevieve Aaron Has.
That's the first I've learned Genevieve's middle name.
Yeah. G-E-H.
Mother's maiden name and first pet's nickname, if you don't mind.
We were talking about I'm not even going to repeat what it was, but we were talking about something on the show the other day in which we were grabbing some...
Thank you for waiting for the drop.
Personal documents on the show, and we got a very concerned email from a listener who says, guys, stop sharing that information on the show. Like, that is exactly how hackers operate, but I can't imagine any hackers having good enough taste to listen to TBTL. Listen to this text message that I just got now 11 minutes ago from Genevieve. Quote, WTF. What a great show. When was it canceled? No. It says, WTF, ? We just got a $145 ticket for speeding in a school zone on a Friday in April in Lake Forest Park. The photo of our license plate is not clear at all, but it's also not that far from where we live, Lake Forest Park. Like we don't live that far north.
LFP.
Yeah.
It's the camera district.
Want me to challenge it, she wrote. Now, you're telling this story. I'm on the edge of my seat with your story of customer service, so I just write back quickly, what's the date? And she's given me the date here. I'm trying to think, is there any reason why I shouldn't share this?
I've got my calendar up in front of me.
That's the first thing I did. So she says,
got to.
April 24th, 5:37 p.m. That's the day I met Sean in the park with Lucy. And I think we might have mentioned that Genevieve. I forgot that was on a Friday, but I am now, like literally in the last 10 minutes, I was paying attention to your story, but I also thought you might be interested in this. I went to my calendar to see what was going on in my life on that day.
Yeah.
It was a day where Hannah and I had to record a spot list. So it would have been a Friday where I did TBTL with you, probably got some newsletter stuff done, although that might have been a day where the newsletter went out early because Lucy was getting us up especially early then. And then I recorded Spotless in the afternoon. I feel like I would have been recording with Hannah around that time, and Genevieve had walked to the local park. So neither one of us would have been in the car. So then I'm like, okay, well, let me see what photos I took on that day, right?
Oh, yeah.
I wanted to see, there's a lot. We have such digital footprints, Luke. I don't know if I'm the first person to open that up.
See, if only you had a ring cam, you could have, just rewound it and see yourself coming home at the time of the ticket.
Why am I undressing? What the hell is
That's
what
weird.
is
He's
going
in the
on?
yard naked.
I only took 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see. I have 9 images on my phone from April 24th. One is I'm going to share this one with you. This one is of Bingo the cat sleeping on a chair. Okay, so that doesn't. I don't know if that's admissible in court. Another one is a video of Lucy chomping on grass in the backyard. You can see that.
I see that.
Then some
nice little POV, kind of get down there on the grass
down
level.
on the grass. There
Very
are
artistic.
3 screen grabs of a top secret TBTL project you and I are working on.
And these all have
so
timestamps on them, which is helpful.
Now there are, and this does get me in some trouble with the law. There are 3 photos of a license plate that I took in the car. So I was in the car at some point on Friday, but
wait,
I remember where I was.
Your license plate.
Not my license plate. I was driving, but then I remember
mad
this.
At someone?
I know exactly where I was. I was stopped at a red light on the, let's see, I was heading east on I was about to get onto 105th. Let's see, I was like on the Holman Road, 105th, right at Greenwood. I'm at that intersection heading east home. I had just gone to the grocery store. The grocery store, though, on Holman Road, not Lake Forest Park, exactly. And I took a picture of a license plate of the truck in front of me because the truck had a license plate frame that said WSU Cougars. The license plate itself.
Oh, I remember this.
You've seen this before.
Durs was this made it onto the criminals.
I took a photo of this because then the plate itself is a red Wazoo themed the specialty plate with the WSU logo there, and then the license plate number itself, and I won't give the whole thing out, starts with Wazoo, WAZZU, and then there's a number following it. And so I took 3 photos of this truck as I sat at this red light, just in case none of them, you always want to take 3 and then pick the best. And I sent it to the Fun-Loving Criminals chain and said, I said, Durs, I think I'm behind you in traffic. Of course, it wasn't him, but he is a proud graduate of WSU. And then the last thing I have is a screen cap of an email sent to us from our friend Harriet talking about her opening night, saying, tonight's the first time I die on stage in this play, parenthetically. So those are the only photos. It does prove that I was in a car, probably around, let's see, what time is this? Timestamp, but I was nowhere near Lake Forest Park.
No.
This is
ridiculous. And also, by definition, if you had the car, Genevieve did not have the car that day.
Yes. At that time, yes.
Was Genevieve
let's see, this is
3:30 that day?
She was yeah, I believe so. And then when she knocked off work, she went to meet, or she might have even had a vacation day, I think. I think, you know what? It doesn't matter, but I think she had a vacation day this day. She was supposed to go on a camping trip, but then the camping trip got canceled, so she just had a day at home, and I think she hung out with Sean. Now, this is where I'm getting a little bit nervous. This photo that I took, and I do remember which intersection I was at when I took it, was at 3:13 p.m. And so I know this intersection. I'm there all the time, and I know which direction I'm facing. So I feel like I'm heading home now. I'm coming home with groceries from the QFC. But I do a lot of running around. Is there any chance that I ended up hooking a left on Greenwood there, went up to LFP for any reason? I could have seen myself taking a left there and then heading up to like the 130th area where there's a Sprouts and a Pet Smart, or maybe it's a PetSmart, and my new favorite.
But that's on Aurora.
That's on Aurora. And that's not Lake Forest Park. You're still not anywhere
near Lake Forest Park. You've got to go way over towards like Lake Washington, really. Like you would have to veer wildly east and northeast from the intersections that you are describing. This makes no sense. I think that this is a wrongful conviction. Well, you haven't been convicted yet, but there's no way that your car was over there. And also, I don't see you speeding through a school zone.
I don't either. Now, I am looking at text messages that Genevieve and I were exchanging that day. I see at noon, Lucy was in her crate. I got a photo that Genevieve sent me of Lucy in her crate with
Remind me
of
the timestamp of the
progress. The speeding is in the early evening of like 5:40 something, according to this. And that's 5:37 it says.
And like also, I don't see I don't see either of you driving at that hour. Because I'm not saying
you know what?
Uh-oh.
Hold on. I don't know if I did stop at that QFC grocery store, but what I'm remembering now is I said I might run out at 2 p.m. and go to the clinic and then back to record with Hannah at 4. So
still,
I know this is good. The clinic is where I get my blood drawn. By the way, the bad what's his
Phlebotomist.
Phlebotomist. I got the bad phlebotomist, and he was so rude to me. And I said to him, "I see you in the grocery store all the time."
Is that
and
an
he just
Alice
grunted.
Cooper record?
I think so. Anyway, I remember this day. So I had to record with Hannah. I know I was not in the car at 5:47 because I was coming back from phlebotomy and a stop at the grocery store, and then I came home. And so now I'm.
And there's no way Genevieve was driving at that point.
Well, now. No, I think we're in trouble here.
Oh, no.
I think we're in trouble. I'm seeing, it says,
on Serial.
She says, we're all set at the park. I'm leaving at 5 p.m. to go get the dog bed. She bought a
Where
fancy
was the
dog
bed from?
Can you give me $20 in cash so I can pay that way? And I said, yes, you can have $20, but it comes with a price. Oh, well, I'm going to, hold on, I'm not going to.
Yeah, no, let's not. Please,
oh, no.
Turn this music up.
Oh, no.
Okay, so we've got Vives in the car.
Yes. Oh, Genevieve just made the same realization. She just texted me now. I don't think she knows. Hold on one second here. Genevieve, if you're down here, you should probably just come in the studio. I don't know if she's down. I don't even know if she's down here. Yeah, I think that she's back at the house now. But she might just be upstairs, she wrote. So at the time of the ticket, I was in the car, but I was on my way to Woodinville to pick up the dog bed. Is there any reason? Would you?
Yeah, you could. Here's what the Waze could, or whatever mapping software you use, could route you through Lake Forest Park to get to Woodinville if the freeways were too jam-packed. It might take you along Lake City Way. It might run you through Lake Forest Park and then around over to kind of like the greater Woodinville area. That is a possibility.
Does seem like a possibility. She says she is going to challenge. She says,
still, no brainer.
Let's see here. She does say, I told her, I'm talking about this Mystery on TBTL. I hope that's okay. You can join if you want. She says, there's no reason I would have been on the road where the ticket was issued. I was only on highways to get to Woodinville. I'm going to challenge it. She says she needs to run. She's taking Lucy on some adventures right now, in fact, and she has more, I believe. I don't think I told you this on the show. Genevieve had just a quote of a lifetime the other day. She's been buying a lot of used dog things. Like Lucy is going through harnesses like crazy, right? So I think we maybe bought her first harness brand new for $30 or whatever, but then since then, Genevieve's been going to Goodwill and getting different sized harnesses for her and just various dog things because dogs grow out of things so quickly that there's a lot of good used dog supplies out there to get. And I heard Genevieve, she loves tracking this stuff down. One of the things she's going to get today is like a bigger baby gate for the dog because Lucy can now just barge right through the
baby
one we
gate
have.
Never used.
Yes, but I heard Genevieve was just like excited about her purchases the other day, and she just said,
"There's like a whole new world for Genevieve to get deals in."
And she just, and this was a quote that it lives in my head. I just thought it was so funny. She's like, buying new things for dogs is a sucker's game. And I don't even think she was saying it to me. I think she was just saying it to the universe. And I just keep on hearing her say, I just love that phrase. It's a sucker's game.
It's actually sort of the perfect thing because like a dog doesn't know.
Right? Exactly.
Like that's the thing. Like the dog, dogs have almost no conversations about that new car smell. Like they have nothing tied up in this question of like, in fact, they might like him more if it's got some other dog's mojo on it.
Right, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, it's the perfect crime. Whereas like if you buy a loved one a new shacket, but it's not new, it's from Goodwill, maybe they would have feelings about that, but the dogs are never going to judge you for getting them a secondhand baby gate.
And actually, I'm even on board with that too, because, at least with the harnesses at first, because I was just like, let's just get her a harness. And the first harness we did get her, and her first leash and everything was, that was kind of special. Vives and I'll always remember.
You're bronzing it, I assume?
Well, we bronzed her paws. Is that a problem?
Yeah.
But no, that is a special memory that I have of after we knew we were adopting her, but before we had brought her home, Vives and I on a Saturday went to a pet store and picked out like leashes and her first toys, and we even got her little name Lucy on a little dog bone, but Genevieve wouldn't tell anybody what the name was at that point, so it was like her little secret tag.
I would have gone with Ophelia, but okay.
Do you know what was? I didn't even want to tell you this at the time because I didn't want to extend that narrative. Do you know that while we were in that pet store buying those things, Genevieve said, listen, and what song was playing on the overhead, but the song Ophelia by Taylor Swift. I had never heard the song before.
In a dog.
And also, though, in our puppy kindergarten class, there is a different dog, totally unrelated to
With
Lucy,
that name.
whose name is Ophelia. Yeah. So anyway, it's in the zeitgeist. But we need to. I think we might want to get Genevieve on the show on Monday. I don't know.
Yes, absolutely, because I have I don't have a lot of real world experience with getting a photo ticket for being in the bus lane, but I've got a lot of experience with these kinds of photo tickets, with either not coming to a complete stop or even speeding. And they are very, very fightable. They are very get out of a bull, but we are going to have to use what I would call semi-extreme tactics around what people would call the truth.
Yeah, you know what, and maybe I shouldn't say more on the show. Genevieve is looking at some maps now, and she's starting to lose confidence in her.
Listen.
She's starting to lose some confidence in her version of events. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, when I heard Woodinville, when I heard 5 p.m. Friday, Woodinville, Lake Forest Park started to enter the picture.
Yeah, there it is.
It started to make a lot more sense. But here's what I'm here to tell you. As your attorney, the fact that she may have been operating the vehicle in no way means she was guilty of speeding through the school zone, as far as the law can prove, Andrew. And that's what I really want you guys to think about this weekend. How willing are you to lie your asses off?
Well, let's hope that this podcast
to get out
is
of
not
$145 ticket
in court. Let's just say that. Maybe I've already said too much. But I will tell you this, and this is a horrible instinct. But I'm relieved to know that it definitely wasn't me. You know what I mean? Because here's the deal. I'm not mad at Genevieve about this. I really don't.
It's life.
I don't care. But I think Genevieve would be more annoyed at me if this were me doing this. I could be wrong. She might contest that. She might challenge that in court as well. But I do feel
we'll find out on Monday.
When it comes, especially when there are finances involved, Genevieve can go out, and I think does, buy whatever she wants. And I literally have never had a feeling about it. I know that is not a mutual feeling. I know that Genevieve lives very large in my head before I make any kind of a semi-large purchase.
This is exactly like the dynamic between my mom and dad, actually.
Yeah.
Which is not, my mom also doesn't really spend money sort of willy-nilly, but she has a lot of opinions about things that my dad buys, including tools for his work. Like my mom, couldn't tell you the difference between a bandsaw and American Bandstand. And my dad buys his tools used. He buys them on Facebook Marketplace. He fixes them repeatedly over time. Like literally, like if a motor burns out, he'll replace the motor. I mean, my dad is not, profligate with any of this stuff. But occasionally he's like, well, we've reached the point where I actually have to buy a replacement for this. And if my mom hears that, she will be so suspicious of his thought process, even though she doesn't know what the tool is, what its application is, like what a good price for the tool is. Whatever my dad spent on it, it was too much and it was not necessary.
Well, as I've famously said many times before, buying new tools is a sucker's game.
Exactly. That's honestly like kind of your catchphrase. That's like your Jimmy Walker dynamite.
We was hoping for some razzle-dazzle.
Razzle-dazzle.
That's right, man. Razzle-dazzle.
On your mark.
On your mark.
Get set.
Get set.
Now ready.
Ready. Go.
Everybody razzle dazzle.
All right. If Andrew and Genevieve are going to be able to afford my expensive retainer as their new, is it pro se when the person representing you is also not an attorney? What's the term for having your friend who is also not an attorney represent you? If you're going to be able to afford my retainer, it's not going to be cheap, and it's going to be thanks to the support of the listeners who, again, make this a job for Andrew and John and myself. That's how this whole thing works. It's 100% listener-supported podcasting. And it's thanks to folks like Stephanie Broad, who is in Portland, Oregon. We know Stephanie so well and appreciate Stephanie. Stephanie says, hello, friendos. Thank you, as always, for being a fun, consistent part of my day. I play the podcast for August when we are in the car together, but he likes to talk over you guys, so he isn't a 10 yet. Really? August? After all the holding of August I did at the bead, at the bracelet party and other places, you'd think August would show a little bit of respect for the program.
Come on, August. You'll get there. You'll get there.
He's only 2, so I'll survive. Feeling grateful for my little family. August is a cutie wild boy, and Jake is a super great dad and husband and coder now. Nice, Jake. Try to stay one step ahead of the machines on that one. Jake has started his own business making websites. Johnson Web Wizards. That's a great name.
It's a very fun website, too. I'm on it right now.
And by the way, the website is johnsonwebwizards.com. I'm going to be on it, too. And my gosh, it's so great.
It says, Johnson Web Wizards, how can we help with your web presence today? This is very funny.
This is really smart, actually. This is a really, really clever way to do this. It's a very intentional nod to the web of yesteryear.
Exactly.
But obviously put together by somebody who understands Web 5.0. What point are we of Web at this point?
Like 17, 17.5 maybe?
Jake is in Web 18 for all of you. So go to johnsonwebwizards.com if you need any web services. If you're in the need, please consider using the man who saw that Luke was his next Uber or Lyft pickup and chose to make him wait so he could get into his hot dog costume before picking him up. While I was sweating, worried Luke would cancel the ride. So, yes, johnsonwebwizards.com for your website needs.
So,
all right.
I don't know. I don't ask you this. I want to ask you this, but I don't ask you this. Was this also the time you might have been a little bit into your cups, and so you were a little bit...
I think I was after my cups. I have
two different.
I have 2 memories, which is I have one memory, and it doesn't involve the hot dog costume, which...
I'm sorry I brought it up. You think this is the time?
No, that's just the said. You didn't do this to me. I did this to me. This is just me trying to puzzle through my feelings about all of this, which is that there was a time when we heed a certain call. That's so basically, I was
mind stealing bread.
We haven't spent even one moment by myself 10 seconds today. With apologies to Bill and Kingston.
Oh, what a Friday.
Basically, there was a time where I was picked up. I think I was Ubering back to my car from where I lived. I think I had been kind of on one, as they say. And I think, the night before, and I think I was pretty bleary. And I think a 10, I feel like in that, again, it was, my memory is very faulty, just generally. It was very faulty about this ride. And I feel like either maybe in the vehicle towards the end of the ride, the person identified themselves as a 10. Or later I got an email from someone that said my husband or boyfriend picked you up the other day, and I've always associated that with Jake. I've always associated that with Stephanie's husband picking me up, and I've always been very chagrined about it because I've thought, God knows what I looked like, sounded like, and smelled like. You know what I mean? Like, it's just not the way that I want anyone to be experiencing me, let alone people who are kind of in the orbit of the show. It's always been one of my worst fears is that I'm just at a very vulnerable moment through my own doing that overlaps with someone who's aware of my life, let's say, on TBTL. Now, the hot dog costume is a whole other thing because I don't remember the person in this instance being in a hot dog costume. So what it means is allegedly, there was a whole other time I was picked up by someone who was... And I've now just memory hold that ride.
But you don't think there's a chance that in your state and especially in your memory, you have focused so much on your your embarrassment that you've just sort of forgotten about the hot dog aspect of it?
That would be, Andrew, shocking. That would be, I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm saying if this story that I remember, and I remember where I was picked up, I still lived at the Yard. I remember where I was picked up in the ride that I'm thinking of. I remember being picked up. I can't exactly remember where I was going. God knows where. Probably some misbegotten overnight poker location. Could have been in a bar. Could have been in a home. Could have been anywhere. Maybe where my car was. Maybe where it wasn't. God knows what was going on. What I don't remember about that event was the driver being dressed as a hot dog. And if the driver was dressed as a hot dog as a TBTL joke, and I missed that, that makes this even more insane.
What
or
is
there
your
was
best
a second
guess?
ride.
What is your guess right now?
My guess is that there were two different rides, and I'm conflating and confusing the two different rides. There maybe was a ride where I was picked up and someone was in a hot dog costume. Sounds like it would have been Jake, and that happened, and that I actually literally have forgotten that happened, which again is insane. And then there was a different ride from someone else who knew about the show, and that was the ride from my apartment, the Yard, that I've always kind of associated with this kind of slightly bad memory, right? So I think the most likely scenarios there were two rides. There were two rides that I regret. And then on the beach there was only one set of tire prints, and that was when one ride carried me.
Either way, you have forgotten about a hot dog costume, which that is the hardest thing for you to believe. But we do know that whether it was one event or two, you don't remember. And did you notice, by the way, on JohnsonWebWizards.com, do you see the little illustrated portrayal of Josh and
Jake.
Jake. As I was saying that, I was like, "That's not right." I'm literally
who's forgetting things now.
I'm literally
Andrew.
looking at the word Jake, and I said, "Josh, Jake, I'm so sorry. What is wrong with me?" Anyway, he has drawn himself, or somebody has drawn him in a little hot dog costume. So this is
I know it's part of the brand.
Yeah, it's cute as hell.
What you've realized is that, yes, I have somehow, and I'm going to keep saying memory hold because somehow it sounds better than forgot. It sounds more intentional. I have somehow forgotten about a hot dog costume on one of these rides, or maybe the ride in question. Somehow that part I don't remember, and it's just, the whole thing is just shocking to me. I bet you it's the same. I bet you it's the same event. I say that because I think it's going to make you feel better. I think either way you forgot about the hot dog costume. Why not just make yourself feel better and feel like you only had one of these experiences? Yeah, but maybe there was two rides with Jake, and maybe the second one was maybe the second one was in a hot dog costume, and maybe I clocked it in the moment. Jake, get at me. Get on the internet. Get on the web portal, the web blog, and message me, will you please? Or Stephanie, could somebody remind me of how many rides there were with Jake? Which one involved the hot dog costume? Where I was picked up, so that I could, I don't know, have a little bit of sort of clarity around this. Anyway, back to Stephanie's message. Favorite books of 2025. Let's focus on the positive here. Stephanie is still reading books, and we love that. I'm going to go from number 5 to number 1. Number 5, The House of the Spirits by Isabel Allende, a classic.
Oh, you know this book? I don't know this book.
Oh, yeah. It's been around for many years, and is a wonderful tome of magical realism. The House of the Spirits. Number 4, You Glow in the Dark by Liliana Calanzi. I'm not familiar with the book,
I'm looking it up now.
But the title, You Glow in the Dark, is intriguing, to be sure.
Do you think that you have to stand by a lamp for a long time, though, if you want to glow really strong?
That I can't tell you because I have not read the book yet, but it's possible.
Short
Number
stories,
3,
by the way.
Okay, a book of short stories. Thank you. On the Calculation of Volume 1 and 2 by Solveig Baye.
Okay.
Sounds heady.
I see. You know what? I was confused there. I thought it was Volume 1 and Volume 2, but it's on the calculation of volume.
Of Volume 1 and Volume 2, right?
No, it's on the calculation of volume. Books 1 and 2. Yeah.
So
okay.
Well,
what you're
Stephanie, have you heard of a
volume.
comma?
So that's on me, though. It's a 7-novel series 6 volumes have been published in the original Danish. I see. So the on the calculation of volume is a 7-novel series, and she read or is recommending
Volume
1
and
and
2.
2. Okay, gotcha. Great.
It's a lot. It's 2 more volumes than I've read this year, or I did in 2025. And number 2, The Cancer Journals by Audre Lorde.
Oh, okay. Are you familiar?
I've not read that, but Audre Lorde's a fabulous writer of a variety of styles of work, so I'm imagining the Cancer Journals are similar. And then number 1 from 2025, Stephanie's favorite books, Beirut Won't Die by Mazen Kerbaj. Again, another book that is unfamiliar to me, but I will take Stephanie's recommendation.
Published I'm seeing published by Fantagraphics, so there's a local connection here or a regional connection.
So is it a graphic?
I'm guessing this is a graphic novel, yes, which is I'm looking at it now. I'm finding this very intriguing. A diary of the 2006 war in Lebanon, told in drawings, comics, and prose. And Fantagraphics being a Seattle-based publishing house for graphic novels. So that is
our friend
really
Megan
cool.
Kelso put out a book through them, right?
Yeah, several, I believe. And I want to, maybe it's just Who Will Make the Pancakes. I don't know how many she's released through them, but I did have a thought, which I've you know what I've spent this dazzling donor message doing is I've been looking. I thought Stephanie, do they call it BookTube? What do you like when people like kind of read books and then talk about books on YouTube and host shows? I swear Stephanie used to have one of those, and I'm Googling around. I noticed she is not. I feel like she maybe is still doing it, but doesn't want to shine the light too much on herself. And so I was going to see if I could shine the light on her, but I'm having trouble finding it. So maybe it's not an ongoing project, but I do remember seeing her videos in the past, and they're just absolutely delightful because Stephanie is delightful for real.
Absolutely. Stephanie, thank you so much. Jake, thank you. And really, most of all, August. Thank you for talking over the parts of the show that are unlistenable. That's a real service that you provide in the vehicle, in the car.
You know what, August? Only one person talks over Luke, and that's me.
Maestro?
On your mark.
On your mark.
Get set.
Get set.
Now ready.
Ready. Go.
Everybody razzle dazzle.
It's Ryan Driscoll in Nampa, Idaho. Nampa know-how, as I probably have said every year that we've read Ryan's message. Never gets old to me. Ryan says, hola, friendos. Ryan from Pre-Funk Beer Bar out here in Nampa, Idaho. That is a great name. That is such a good name
with
for a beer bar.
Again, I believe Seattle connections, right? I learned that Pre-Funk came from originated with students at, I want to say, Seattle University. Is that the one on Capitol Hill?
Sure. Well, First Hill.
Or First Hill.
The Red Storm, the Red Hawk.
Isn't it right on Capitol Hill?
Maybe it's more Capitol
I think it's
Hill.
right
I don't
on
know.
Broadway
Maybe it's
there.
the CD. Maybe it's the CD.
It's right.
I feel like I don't. You call that Capitol Hill?
It's north of Blick. It's north of Pine, I believe. Is it not? Isn't it right up against?
North of Blick. Is that Blick Art Supply?
Blick Art Supply. What a weird thing that I just said. Isn't it by
No,
Cal
that's a
Anderson?
good locator.
Isn't it like right? Isn't Cal Anderson basically its backyard, or am I thinking of the wrong school?
I mean, you know what? It's been too long since I. Also, I'm the worst person for this. Seattle University neighborhood. It's south of 12th. I think of that as the cutoff of Capitol Hill. Don't you think? Not south of 12th, but south of Madison.
It is almost all the way down to.
It's pretty well south of Madison, right?
It's just north of Cherry. Okay. So that is more. You're right, and Swedish is right across. That is First Hill. What is the campus I'm thinking of that abuts Cal Anderson almost? Do we have any idea here? I am ruining this show. I am absolutely ruining the show. But I'm looking at photos of this. It's the Mitchell Activity Center.
Oh, you mean Seattle Central?
That's Seattle Central. I'm getting Seattle Central confused with Seattle University. I knew I could feel it.
That makes a ton of sense.
Because it's so. I mean, it's like abuts the park. Like I knew
that
but
would
I
100%
knew I
be
was
Capitol
doing something
Hill.
wrong there. Okay, great. Okay,
yeah.
gotcha.
They probably call it Seattle Central College now too, right? 'Cause I think
maybe
they've generally dropped. Haven't they dropped community from a lot of things?
Yeah, because I think it had like kind of a bad connotation. But I dislike that. I actually like community colleges.
Absolutely. Yeah, community colleges are doing great work, honestly, out there. And I was about to go into a story about it, but I will we'll defer to the privacy of a person who might be staying at my own house right now.
Oh, okay.
My own daughter, and let's just say Whatcom Community College was an extremely great time in Adelaide's life to refocus her academic efforts and get back on course to go back to Western Washington University. And we will leave that there. We'll continue with our message from Brian.
Give me a win though here, and I'm not associating with a specific college yet, but there is a lot written about how pre-funk. It says the birth of pre-funk. A look at Seattle's first real citywide Mardi Gras. I believe that the term does have regional roots here.
Nice. Oh, you're saying like literally the word pre-funk.
I believe.
I thought you meant there was like another pub with the name or something.
No.
Dude, I'm starstruck by that. Well, it's one of my favorite words.
I don't know if we want to trust AI, but when you type, it says pre-funk or pre-function. This is why I thought pre-funk meant, hey, we're going to get funky later on tonight, but we're going to get pre-funky now. That's what I always thought it meant, and then I learned when I moved to Seattle that no, it means the function that you're
Before
going to.
The function,
funk originated in Seattle during the late 1970s as a regional slang term for drinking before going out. That's AI saying that, but it looks like it's pointing back to Seattle Magazine.
That's freaking cool because I've said pre-funk for my adult life. I assumed that was just a thing people said. I had no idea it had Seattle roots. For me, pre-funk was like, okay, we are going to be medical grade drunk tonight because pre-funk is, we're actually, before we get to the thing where drinking is the endeavor, we're going to do some drinking before.
Right.
We get to the place where the focal point is alcohol consumption.
Yes.
And that was often that was a recipe for me not remembering a guy in a hot dog outfit driving me around, Andrew.
Good.
Okay, hands down, the best craft beer in the Treasure Valley, nestled comfortably in the historical downtown of what we lovingly call the Namptons.
I like that.
Also a great name.
That's great.
Pre-Funk recently celebrated its 11th year out here, and every day is a constant reminder to me and my business partner, that's my wife, how important community is to our mental health and well-being. That being said, thank you, Cobros, so much for another year of friendship and camaraderie. With things as rough as they are in the world, it's reassuring at the end of the day to be able to put on your slippers and sweater and turn on the imaginary radio and know it can always be a beautiful day in the neighborhood.
Oh.
My only request is, could y'all play one of the recorded messages from Lukey B's agent, Mort? It's been a while, and they always crack me up. Well, Andrew, it just so happens that I'm here looking at my my selection of audio files, and I've got a number of things that say Mort on them. Mort, of course, what's the term for that?
Is your agent?
Like, my agent, but also not my mythical agent, but my sort of
legendary.
My legendary agent, who back in the day, this all started because me and a buddy of mine, Chris Cashman, we were cast in, we were booked, I should say, in this, what ended up being a truly soul-crushing kind of acting assignment. We were told we were going to be in kind of a short film. It ended up being more, we were handing out 3D glasses in a hallway in San Diego in puffy shirts. And in the midst of all of this kind of ego-busting activity, we started riffing about like how our agent, because we had the same agent at the time, had presented the gig to us versus what the reality of it was. And Chris just started doing this guy we were calling Mort. And this is just how we were sort of passing the time / making ourselves feel better. And this, of course, then grew into him leaving messages as my agent Mort. Now I've got something called Mort promo message. That's pretty short. That's 7 seconds. I've got Mort message number 4. I've got Mort Chicago message. I've got a few other Morts. What are you feeling it for? What would you like to go? I've got something called Mort herpes message. That's pretty long.
Let's do that.
Is it 3 minutes?
Oh, okay.
Let's just listen to it for a little while.
Okay.
Mort herpes message from my manager, Mort.
Hello, Luke. Yours truly, Mort, agent of the Northwest Stars. Yes, the very same agent who just signed exclusive representation deal with the one and only Seahawks star Richard Sherman's brother, Branton Sherman. Very exciting news. Very exciting. But not as excited as I am about you. Back to you. Look, I am looking at an offer right here. National commercial TV campaign. And I have convinced them that you are the guy. I said, look no further. I've got the guy's headshot right here in front of me, which we should update, by the way, because I still have the one from high school where you got the Letterman jacket, and the basketball under your arm and the tennis racket on your shoulder. And besides that little half mustache thing you had going, it doesn't work. Anyway, look, the point is, this is a huge commercial campaign, but it will require some committed acting, which I know you possess. We're talking about rock climbing, it says here. Have you ever rock climbed? Would you be willing to hang? Without have the carabiners and all that. You'll be safe. What about river kayaking? We got to have white water. It's going to be rough out there. And I apologize. Hang on for a second, Lukey. I got another call coming in. Hang tight here. The incomparable sounds of Jesus Jones coming to Broadway. Starring Daniel Radcliffe. I was honored when they called me with this offer, the opportunity of a lifetime. And it's all in the lyrics, isn't it? Right here, right now, there is no place that I would rather be. And I think that I can bring something to the role that no one else can bring. And hi, Lukey, I'm back. Listen, where were we? Okay.
Can I just mention that Chris is doing this in real time? Do you understand? This is Chris and a cellular phone where he is somehow just like, I think he might have two phones, but like what I learned after he had been doing this for a while was like the hold stuff. He's just doing this all.
I did not know that.
In real time. Like there's no post production on it. It's a minor miracle.
That is, anyway. I had no idea that is the case.
Yeah, when he would here, let me just play this other one really quickly. I think he might put me on hold on this one too, which is kind of genius.
Lukey B, hello, your agent here. Sorry to bother you. Hope you don't mind if I make your day. Quick question for you. What is your favorite Natalie Imbruglia song? Now, I ask you because, the event organizers want to know what song to play when you walk out on stage as the opening act for the one and only Natalie Imbruglia, male impersonator, Natalie Imbruglia. That's right, rated the second most popular Imbruglia impersonator in Northern Canada. So, clear your schedule. The event last weekend of the month. And hang on for a second here. I'm sorry, Luke. I got another call. Let me click over and ditch him here for you. Okay, I'm back. The pot just got sweetened. You ready for this? You better sit down. I'll wait. Okay, hope you don't mind sharing the stage and your dressing room with American Idol runner-up David Archuleta's brother Ricky. Confirmed. Call me.
What was
Confirmed.
that? What was
Call
that,
me.
What was that music? I couldn't.
That was Natalie Imbruglia's song. Torn.
Oh, that was Torn. I couldn't quite hear it.
Torn.
Oh, nice. Of course it was.
So,
yes.
God, what an absolute
genius.
Yeah, Chris Cashman. What a genius. We love him, and we love Ryan Driscoll out there in the Namptons for supporting the show. Ryan, thank you very much. Everybody, if you're passing through anywhere near Nampa, Idaho, stop into Pre-Funk Beer Bar and say hello to Ryan and tell him that TBTL sent you.
Here I go once again with the email. Every week, I hope that it's from a female. Oh, man, it's not from a female.
All right, we didn't get to Joe Settlemeyer talk, but that's actually probably okay because two things. One, he was the guy who did Where's the Beef, which is pretty interesting. He was the director of the Where's the Beef ads, which he was famous for. But then in reading about his career, I realized he was also the guy who directed these iconic Alaska Airlines commercials from the 80s. Now, here's the thing. We've already given enough airtime to the concept of Alaska Air today. And I don't know how much they really translated. They translate as audio. But
are these the Lewis ones?
No. Those were radio. These were TV. And they were like, again, I'm going to send you the supercut of them, Andrew, just in case like you're out with Lucy and you want to look at something on your phone. They really are art. Like they're really like sort of film art. Just the specificity of the casting, the way that it's like the one that's so iconic, which again does not translate at all to audio, is it's Alaska Airlines talking about the ways that other airlines are trying to basically the funny part is the ads actually sort of like foreshadow real stuff. Like at one point, people are waiting in this line to check their bags, and it's a robot. It's like a robot voice that's like, thank you for, they're like putting their bags into this like vacuum kind of tube thing that's like taking their bags, and it's like, welcome to the Robot 5000. The idea is too many things are being automated, and then it takes one guy's entire outfit off of him because it's like sucking it in. There was one where the bathrooms on the airplane are pay bathrooms, they're quarters.
Oh.
And this guy goes up, and he's just this kind of like older gentleman who's kind of a little stooped over, got these big thick glasses, and he's looking at the pay bathrooms, and he looks into his wallet, and he doesn't have any change. And he's going down the aisle. He starts off going, excuse me, sir. He's like leaning over someone. He's going, excuse me, sir. Do you have 4 quarters for $1? And then he's like, excuse me, sir. He's like, cuts to the next guy. Do you have 4 quarters for $2? Excuse me, sir. Do you have 2 quarters for $2? Like he's basically like the cost of getting his quarters is going up and up and up as he's doing this I have to pee jig in the aisle of the airplane.
Irony that this is the commercial that comes up on the day where it's like,
yes.
it is. It's so galling.
It's totally galling because it predicted exactly what we're now dealing with. But these, I almost, like I said, I'm just going to send you the ads because they're so incredible. The casting, the acting, the editing. I mean, it harkens back to a different time for so many reasons. Anyway, that's the Joe Settlemeyer story. But what we're here to do is some emails or V-mails before we wrap up on this Friday, because I should go. You should go hang out with your Lucy, and I should go hang out with my human daughter.
Yes, and also, by the way, look at this. Do you see this thing here? Do you see this biggest book in the world that I'm holding?
Yeah, that is a thick tome.
That is because I am working on the TBTL newsletter, and I have an exclusive expose that I am working on right now. That is what I will be doing.
Smokes.
I skipped the newsletter last week. I wanted to write about this, but I ended up literally falling asleep in the most uncomfortable position.
Is that
on
the Silmarillion
deck? This is, Luke, this book that I'm holding right here. I mean, it's super heavy. This is one of 2 volumes that came in a gift from listener Dan several years ago.
Oh, yeah.
The absolute complete archives of the Far Side. Yes, this is a Far Side related expose, and I will tell you, Gary Larson is never going to be so happy that he has dropped out of the spotlight, because I'm not going to hold my punches on this expose, Luke. It is going to be really something. So that's what I'll be doing this afternoon. Look for that in your inboxes later this afternoon or evening. In the meantime, though, listener Sarah wanted to weigh in on our conversations regarding Wikipedia and how one is able to represent themselves on Wikipedia without breaking the rules.
Hey, it's listener Sarah. I'm leaving this message really quick while I edit root scans for science and hoping no one walks into this lab while I'm leaving this voicemail. But I was listening to Monday's episode, and you guys are just kind of launching into talking about Wikipedia and how Andrew doesn't have a Wikipedia page. And it reminded me of this really funny story. A few years ago, I read this really great book by this author, Emily St. John Mandel.
Oh, yeah.
And so I was Googling her after I finished it and was reading her Wikipedia page and discovered this really funny loophole that she had to do, where she had been divorced and was seeing someone new, and she wanted her Wikipedia page to reflect that she was no longer married to the first person she was married to. But the criteria was that there had to be an article for Wikipedia to reference. And so she called up someone and was like, I need you to interview me and specifically ask me a question about my marriage so that I can say I'm divorced so that my Wikipedia page can be accurate, which I just thought was really interesting and really funny. And so, Andrew, if you want a Wikipedia page, maybe you just need to get a friend to profile you, and then you can have your presence on the internet. Okay.
You know what you do.
Have a great day. Happy Friday. Bye.
You know, our friend of the show and friend of me, Stacy Sledge.
Oh, yeah, up there in Bellingham?
Up there in Bellingham. Good memory. Stacy wrote a profile of us and me and the show. It was, I will say to this day, the most accurate profile of me that's ever been written. And it just helps if you listen to TBTL day in and day out. I bet you anything Stacy would write a profile of you, and that is legit.
Does it have to be just about, because of course our friend Harriet wrote quite a long article about TBTL and our involvement in it.
Well, okay, maybe the work's already done.
And then the people over at The Current, the public radio newspaper, wrote about us when we went independent, thanks to John for sort of beating the bushes and doing a little promotion. So I do feel like...
So it's out there.
I feel like it's out
Wikipedia,
there.
get a clue. And also, this is very useful for me as somebody who cycles in and out of relationships. What I need to do to make sure that my status is updated on there accurately. Did I tell you that at some point something got updated about my sort of relationship history that was funny to me because it seemed to me that it could have only been the person I had been in a relationship with who could have, many years ago, who could have gone in and kind of updated it or would have cared about updating it. Maybe there's some completist out there who sort of, who would be tracking my life that closely. But it was just funny because basically what happened was, I think it was like my first ex-wife was suddenly added to my history, like years and years and years later, like well after the fact. And so it was either her. By the way, I'm very friendly with this person. Like we text on, on a couple times a year basis. It's a very cordial relationship. Everything's cool. But it was like either somebody went in and decided to be very, very official about my particular marital history, or literally the person in question was like, hey, if we're going to be having a Wikipedia page, we're going to be having all of the information on there, which was just very funny, let's just say 15 to 20 years after the fact.
Well, I'm on your Wikipedia page now, and according to this, you are dating the girl that you kissed on the roller coaster at the Washington State Fair. No, that wasn't it. Where you wasn't your first kiss at an amusement park or a fair of some sort?
Close. It was at an ice skating rink.
Oh, no.
During a
that's
Christian
not close.
music skate night.
But I do know that the Mummy was there. Am I right about that?
Yes.
Okay,
you're
good.
absolutely
Okay,
right. I was sitting next to the Mummy.
It's probably
and
best
Josh
that I don't know
Badger
too
Newton.
many things. Yeah, about your first.
No,
kiss.
you were. And you know what? We're still waiting for you to get that first kiss to Andrew.
And it's going to be great, and it's probably going to be from Lucy.
Oh, that's already happened, buddy. I witnessed it during our TBTB meeting the other day.
Oh,
you picked her up for 1 second, and she was so in your biz.
Oh, I love her. We have a pretty good relationship, me and that puppy. We had a really fun day yesterday.
Is it possible she was driving the car at a high rate of speed?
Probably. It looks like it looks like we went from being like WTF to we've completely rolled over and are asking for punishment from the law at this point.
I've been there, man, so many times where I'm just like, this is an outrage.
Yeah.
I was framed. And then you look and you're like, actually, I think I was there. Again, as your agent, Mort, as your attorney, Mort, let me just tell you, that doesn't have to mean that you have to pay this ticket just because Genevieve was possibly the person driving. So maybe we'll talk about it on Monday. All right, that's going to do it for today's episode and bring us to the end of our broadcast week. Thank you, everyone, for listening, for hanging out with us. We really do love and appreciate getting to do this for our jobs. We'll be back here on Monday with more Imaginary Radio. In the meantime, have a great weekend, everybody. Stay safe. Go Mariners, and please remember, no mountain too tall.
And good luck to all.
Hello, no one is available to take your call. Please leave a message after the tone.
Hello, Lukey B. It's your agent, Mort, calling. Pick up. You know, you always got to give people a few seconds to turn off the answering machine. But it sounds like you're out. Listen, hey, wondering if you had a chance to consider that audition I fought to get you to be the face of N95 masks. Or at least, the N94s. They're basically the same thing. Look, I know we don't want to wear them again, but if things get ugly, we want you to be the face of COVID, my friend. And I'm not just saying this because I am your agent and I stand to make 20% from the campaign, but from the bridge of the nose up, you are stunning, my friend, and it's time you get paid for it, okay? So call me. I want to grab a buffet soon. We can talk about your next move. And hang on. I think I got another call coming in. Hang on. Thank you for continuing to hold. In the meantime, have you finished this week's cyber training yet? Complete the latest 2-hour course for a 20% off coupon to Carvana, the musical. Coming to... Okay, Lord Burbank, I'm back. Listen, gotta run, but call me so we can talk about the future, okay? So page me. Let's make like Dr. Jones and go independent. Hey, that's sort of clever. Feel free to use that on your radio pod.
Power out.